Hey everyone, in this module, we're going to kick off and dive deep into monetization. So far we've talked a little bit about how growth wins, the game has changed, and we need a different approach. And that different approach is by assembling a system around growth that's sustainable, repeatable, and systematic. We know that growth is the output, and its inputs are retention, acquisition, and monetization. We started with that first input of retention and engagement because it's the foundation to everything else. Retention and engagement separates the top 1% of products from everybody else in their category. And the reason why is as we increase retention, it increases all of the other components of our growth model. It helps influence our acquisition loops, monetization, as well as referral and virality. The second thing we went through is the input of acquisition. We talked about 3 guiding principles around acquisition, the channel dynamics around the law of habit transfer, and how every product is built off of the back of another channel by transitioning the habit from where our target audience already has a habit to building a habit onto our product. But more importantly is that we don't control the rules of that channel, and so we need to make sure that we have product channel fit, which is that products are built for channels, channels do not mold for products. We also talked a little bit about channel model fit, where models enable or disable channels and cannot be thought about as a separate component. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into channel model fit in this module. But the second key component we talked about is that the best companies aren't built on a system of funnels. What we really need to do is view growth and acquisition as a system of compounding loops. These loops act just like they do in finance, where they produce interest on a base of principal, and that compounds over time. The third input that we need to talk about is in this module, which is monetization. But before we dive into the specifics of monetization, we need to talk about the 4 pitfalls of monetization, the most common mistakes. And that first one is viewing monetization in a silo from acquisition and retention. We need to be viewing these things all together as one cohesive system. And that's because monetization enables or disables different retention or acquisition strategies, so we can't think about it separately. That's also why it's so important to view retention and acquisition as loops. Loops help combine our model, product, and channels all into one cohesive system rather than separating them out, which is what funnels lead us to. The second big pitfall of monetization is looking at our monetization and just copying competitors and assuming that they've defined the right components. What we really need to do is stop looking at competitors and build our monetization strategy and analysis from the ground up. The third most common pitfall is just guessing at what the right price is, the right price structure, how to charge people. But once again, we want to do the analysis from the ground up and form our own view about what is right for our target audience, product, and business model. And then the last piece is just viewing monetization just as price. But price is just one of 4 different components that we're going to go into in a little bit more depth in this module. So here's the 4 pitfalls of monetization that we want to avoid along the way. Viewing monetization in a silo from acquisition and retention. We need to view it as one cohesive system. Copying competitors and guessing. And rather than doing those 2 things, how do we do the analysis and build it from first principles in the ground up, combining our unique combination of product channels, target audience, and other components of our business? And last but not least is that we need to think about monetization more than just price and think about what are the other components. In the rest of the module and in the next section, we're going to talk a little bit more about what we call the monetization pyramid.